If you're in the market for a new mouse, you might be wondering whether to pick up one of the best wireless gaming mice or stick with a tried and tested wired one. Wireless technology has come on leaps and bounds over the last decade, and many of the old concerns about latency and battery life often aren't an issue today. But there might still be reason to opt for a wired rather than wireless gaming mouse. If you want a cheap gaming mouse, for example, or if you never want to worry about charging your mouse, a wired mouse might be a better bet. There are so many wired and wireless gaming mice on the market right now that the PC gamer is spoiled for choice. With that in mind, let's see how we can narrow down our options and decide between a wired or wireless gaming mouse. What is input lag? Input lag might affect whether you opt for a wired or wireless mouse. Input lag, or system latency, refers to the amount of time it takes your mouse press or keystroke to translate to the corresponding game action being shown on screen. For instance, if your character only shoots a second after you left click, you likely have high system latency and are suffering from input lag. Input lag can be caused by any part of the chain between your input and your display. It could be a problem with your peripheral itself, the transfer of this input data to your CPU, your CPU processing this input and telling your GPU what to render, your GPU rendering the new game frames, or your monitor displaying the new frames. Wired vs wireless mouse input lag. Sometimes input lag can be caused by your mouse. To simplify somewhat, wired mice have traditionally suffered less from input lag than wireless mice because, in the past, wired data transfers were much speedier and more reliable than wireless transfers. The story today isn't quite as simple, though, because as wireless mice became mainstream and wireless technology improved, the difference in wireless latency between wired and wireless mice became less and less. PS2 vs. While the laser vs optical wired mouse debate is now settled in favor of optical mice, there are still debates over which kind of mouse connection is better. There are two main wired mouse connectors, PS/2, 6-pin mini DIN and USB. Wireless mice typically just use USB. USB mice are queried by the CPU a certain number of times per second, called its polling rate, measured in 8. The higher the polling rate, the more mouse inputs your CPU should receive per second, decreasing latency. PS/2 mice, on the other hand, interrupt the CPU several times per second, also measured in HD, meaning they don't wait for the CPU to poll them, in theory decreasing latency. Because of this, PS/2 technology might seem to reduce input lag on paper, but in practice the difference is often imperceptible. PS/2 mice usually interrupt at 100 HD, while USB mice are usually polled at 100. PS/2 mice can sometimes interrupt at 200 HD, but USB gaming mice can often poll at 1000 HD, meaning a good USB gaming mouse should outpoll any PS/2 mouse. Wireless mouse latency. On paper, we might think that wireless mice shouldn't ever have lower latency than a wired mouse, because wireless connections aren't capable of the theoretical maximum transfer speeds of wired connections. As such, the question we should ask is whether wireless mice can at least match a wired mouse's latency in practice. In other words, is wireless technology good enough that any increased latency is so small as to be imperceptible? The answer to this question is yes. Wireless technology is so good these days that even competitive pro gamers often use them over their wired counterparts. The difference in latency between a top-tier wired and wireless mouse is so small as to be imperceptible, even for pro gamers. Test mouse latency with a mouse click latency test. To test your mouse click latency, you can use something like NVIDIA's latency display analysis tool, LDAT, or hook up a LED to your mouse switch and point a high-speed camera at it to measure the frames between a mouse press and the on-screen game action. Alternatively, if you have a G-Sync monitor that supports it, you can use its built-in NVIDIA Reflex Latency Analyzer. However, while the results of these tests are useful for benchmark comparisons between different mice to decide between which of two gaming mice to purchase, for example, they're not usually necessary for the average PC gamer at home. Comparing online benchmarks should suffice. Should you use a wired or wireless gaming mouse? One of the most important considerations when deciding on a gaming mouse is its latency and how much input lag it might cause. Good wireless mice these days are practically indistinguishable from wired ones when it comes to latency. In fact, many of the best gaming mice for low latency are wireless. As such, other factors than latency should influence your decision more when deciding between a wired vs wireless gaming mouse. If you're happy paying a premium for the everyday convenience of lacking a cable, no chance of a cable snagging, and freer hand movements while gaming, and you don't mind having to charge it every now and then you should get a wireless gaming mouse. We are almost wrapping up. These are the common differences between these two. Hope you like this video. Please comment, share, and subscribe to this channel for more videos.